gentlemen, coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. Before I get into my Super Bowl recap and everything that I saw happen on the field yesterday, I just want to put the Super Bowl into really simple context, because sometimes we can just overanalyze what we see. You know what I mean? We can look at these next level stats, these against the blitz and on third down and all of this, mumbo jumbo. But sometimes football is really, really simple. And sports are really, really simple, which is there is great and there is good. And this has to do with everything. There are great people in media and there are good ones. There's some people who are doing beat writing for their local NBA team, and there's some people who are on national media giving out their opinions. There's just levels to everything. And to come into this game, it was just so simple to me that the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, who is already the best quarterback we've ever seen, not the greatest. Again, I made that distinction in another video. If you want to learn about that, check it out. And Andy Reid, who is the best coach in the world right now. I don't think it's debatable. And Travis Kelce, who's the greatest pass catching tight end ever. And Brock Purdy, who's good. And he did everything they wanted him to do in terms of sticking to the script, playing well. But when he was asked to be great, he just couldn't do it. And honestly, it comes down to just a few plays in these games. Because in the Super Bowl, you have the two best teams in the world going at it. I don't think anyone could deny that throughout the year. Actually, some people could deny that the Chiefs should have been in the situation, because I know a bunch of people picked the Ravens to beat them and a bunch of people picked the Bills to beat them. I didn't. I said the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl before the playoffs started, but I digress, neither here nor there. Purdy is a good player, and not enough of you saw the video that I made on why he isn't a great player. But if you want to, go check that out. I made my entire case there. He's a good player. He's not great. And just last night was literally a perfect representation of what he was in front of your eyes. He played good. He backed everything I said about him. He did everything you want your quarterback to do. All of the basic fundamentals, he was fine. He hit Ayuk on some good daggers. He hit Debo on his crossers. McCaffrey on some dump-offs. He even had a really nice dump off to McCaffrey, which Romo talked about for 6 minutes or something like that, where he was under pressure and barely got it off. I thought it was a pretty basic play, but CBS made it sound like he just threw the helmet catch. But anyways, when he needed to be great, when he needed to be special, there were 3-4 moments where he had a chance to win the game. He didn't do it. And that's the difference, because Mahomes did all of those things. And you want examples? I got examples. 3rd and 5 to the end zone with Chris Jones in his face. I understand that is a tough play to make. But how many times have we seen someone know he's going to take a hit, but it doesn't matter? He looks down the barrel and throws an absolute rope. I've seen Mahomes do that 4 times just this playoff run. I've seen Tom Brady do that a cajillion times in his 40s, for gosh sakes. Purdy just couldn't make that play. He didn't have the zip on the ball he needed to. He doesn't have the release time. He doesn't have the athletic prowess, the greatness that was required to make that play. Debo, early in the 4th quarter, right? He has a step and a half on his defender. And again, I get Purdy has a guy in his face. But man, when a guy is that open going into the end zone, 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, you have a chance to go up 7 on the Chiefs. He just didn't make the play. And there was just the best throw made by the 49ers all game was by Juwan Jennings. That throw across the field, that 42-yard field, that was impressive. Can you think of a play that Brock Purdy made, a throw that was better than that throw by Juwan Jennings, who, by the way, if the 49ers won the game, I think he would have been the MVP. He caught a touchdown. Every big 3rd down, it seemed like he was coming up big. Obviously, through that touchdown, he was best player on the field probably for the Niners, him or Bosa. And I thought McCaffrey had a really good game too, but by his standards, I don't think you can win MVP off of 80 yards. And listen, Purdy was 3 of 12 on 3rd down. That's not going to get the job done against the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to convert. You have to keep Mahomes on the sideline, and he wasn't able to do that enough. He was keeping the Chiefs defense fresh, which when you have a defense that's been as good as the Chiefs has been all year, and that's another thing. I don't understand how people weren't able to see this Chiefs defense for what it was 4 months ago. Like, they were second rated in everything, but because the Chiefs have this reputation as just an offensive juggernaut, this explosive team, I guess they couldn't see past the fact that their defense was the driving force of their team this year. And it didn't make much sense to me, but it did show in the Super Bowl. Like, that 49ers team is loaded with weapons just as much as any other great team I've ever seen. And they made them look average. Kittle had 2 catches yesterday. He was a first-team All-Pro player. Did Deebo Samuel dress yesterday? Like, he had maybe 2 Deebo plays. One was that end around, and he caught another ball over the middle. Like, there was just nothing open. Their secondary was phenomenal, and it's so young, too. And here's the thing about Purdy, too. No, it wasn't even the big plays. It was also the little plays. He just didn't quite have enough zip on the ball to really force it into guys and make a throw out of nothing. When a guy is schemed open, Purdy is accurate as you can be. Like I said, he can do everything the script wants him to do. But when he has to go off that script and make a play for himself, he's very average. Like, there was a 3rd and 10 in the 4th quarter to Deebo over the middle where I swear if he had another like 5 kilometers an hour on that ball, it probably zips into his chest and they complete for that first down. But instead, he keeps that record of 3 and 12 on 3rd. And in overtime, his drive stalled out. People will forget this, but it happened. He got bailed out by a questionable holding call. He didn't even hold him. He just kind of arm barred him off. And guess who got that holding call, by the way? Juwan Jennings on Trent McDuffie, who had a phenomenal game. But that's enough about talking about Brock Purdy. Everyone who said he's top 10, he's underrated by everyone, including me. People shredded me for my Brock Purdy take. I was proven right. Let's just stop it right there, because I want to move on to someone who I was also just as right about, but in such a different way. Because what's going to get lost in his second half brilliance is the fact that in that first half, he made a couple plays that only him and Josh Allen could ever make. And that throw to Mecole Hardman in the second quarter, where he threw that thing 60 yards, where he rolled out to the left, Hardman went right, and it didn't matter. He just shucked that thing as far as he could on a rope. So much so that the corner, who was undercutting the route very well, by the way, didn't think the ball could possibly make it that far. So he just kind of lost track of it and like went back almost, and it landed perfectly in Mecole Hardman's mitts. Like, those are just special plays. And that's going to get lost because Pacheco fumbled on the next play, and it was in the first half where not a lot happened. But holy moly, man. This Mahomes guy. And people are also going to forget, like, the second half, which I think was the crowning achievement of Mahomes' career. It couldn't have started worse for the Chiefs. It really couldn't have. Like, the first play was that toss to Pacheco, which hit him in the back shoulder. He fumbled it, lost 6 yards. And then on the 3rd down, Mahomes throws his first interception since like 2 years ago in the playoffs. Second half couldn't have started worse, but it just didn't matter because there's some people who just transcend the game. And if you're Kyle Shanahan, he had to come into the game knowing this. But what he didn't come into the game knowing is the bloody overtime rules. Like, listen, I said coming into this, Shanahan, he's just known he will make one mistake that you don't think he will make. It'll either be a play calling error, it'll be some sort of clock management error. But in this, it was even worse than both of those because he didn't prep his players for overtime. Yes, the guy who lost in overtime, the first ever Super Bowl overtime to Tom Brady, he didn't have his team prepared for the possibility of an overtime. They didn't know the rules. Kyle Juszczyk admitted as such after the game, who's a vet. He's been around forever. He didn't know the rules were changed. So do you think Fred Warner, who elected to receive that ball, did? Of course not. And like, it just doesn't make any sense giving Mahomes an extra down. Because if you score, he's going to have to go for it pretty much all the way up the field until he's in range. If you score a touchdown, he's got to go for it all the way. You're just giving the best player in the world an extra chance to be the best player. Like, I just didn't get it. So that was Shanahan's big error. And Andy didn't make any errors like that. His play calling was tremendous. I thought Shanahan's play calling was really good too, but sometimes, like I said, it's about moments. It's about moments that you prepare for. And Andy had them prepared all week for the possibility of an overtime. Drew Tranquil commented as much on Instagram. Hashtag Big Red. He was talking about this every day. Mahomes got the ball with 1:53 left in the fourth quarter. And by 1:10, they were in field goal range. Like, there was just not a doubt in anyone's mind that he was going to make plays, was it? Like, with him throwing that football and Andy Reid calling the plays, like, everybody knew what was going to happen. They were going to at least tie the game, and they were going to go into overtime, if not score a touchdown. And my goodness, if he completed that little fade to Kelce in the end zone for the Super Bowl with 6 seconds left, the storybook ending it could have been. However, it was probably even more of a storybook ending that a guy who no one really believed in, who was a Jet to start the season, ended the game with a touchdown. And Mahomes on that last overtime drive was flat out perfect. And so was Andy Reid, even though MVS tried his best to screw up that drive by going 10 yards in the other direction by one guy, kind of like, he didn't even tackle him really. He armbarred him 10 yards back. It didn't even matter. And it wasn't like this was old Chiefs like chunk plays like Wasp in the last Super Bowl they played against the Niners with that Tyreek Hill 40-yard completion. This was, I'll take 4 yards here, I'll take 3 yards there, I'll take 10 yards here. It was just dissection, which Mahomes has become so good at. Because when you have that much talent and that much arm talent, it's hard not to just want to show it off. It's hard not to push the ball 50 yards down the field. It's hard not to, just want to constantly go on the run and take shots. But Mahomes has learned what Josh Allen hasn't, which is you just take what the defense gives you. Tom Brady made a GOAT career out of that, and Mahomes is trying his darndest to do it. He's already the best I've ever seen, but he's not the GOAT yet. There's a difference between the best and the GOAT. I explained that in another video. Go watch it if you haven't already. Like, it's pretty simple to describe, to be honest. Some people resent greatness and some people welcome it. And I was listening to a podcast the other day where a really rich guy got into a conversation with somebody about what they do. And the guy asked him, what do you do? Like, how much money do you make? He's like, oh, I do this and I make $1 million a year. He's like, and you know what his reaction was? He said, no, you don't. You don't make $1 million a year. You're lying. Instead of asking, well, how did you do it? What did you do to get to this point? What school did you go to? What's your daily process? Some people want to be great and some people resent it. And more people resent it than accept it. And that's just a fact of life. Me personally, I appreciate it. And I see it as it comes. I don't bet against this type of greatness. And to put it in my own terms, to see one of the greatest up-and-coming sports prognosticators of all time pick the Chiefs before the playoffs and not bet against them once, and then they win the Super Bowl, and pick the Lions to go to the Super Bowl before the year started, and then go to the NFC Championship game. Why? I don't know why you bet against me at this point, but anyways, that's a whole nother issue, greatness and all of that. But I'm going to leave this to the football for now. This was the best football season that could have possibly happened for the first year of the Spit Sports Show. This last month has been a wild one, man. I think we gained 140 subscribers or something like that in the past 28 days. First video to hit 5,000 views. It's just unbelievable. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it because I love making these videos. I love the discussion in the comments. And it's just special. So thank you guys so much for it. Like I said, please leave a comment. I am small enough as to where I can respond to all the comments. If you leave a comment and I don't respond, it's probably because it wasn't that insightful or interesting to respond to. But if you leave something that, makes me think or is interesting or sparks a debate or anything like that, I'll be right in there talking about it. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard today. It really helps get me in the YouTube algorithm and opens more eyes. You guys know the drill. You've seen enough YouTube videos by now, I'm sure. Please subscribe to join this wave before it becomes a tsunami, the Spit Sports Show. We're doing big things on here. This is only the beginning, so please subscribe if you want to be a part of it. And until then, I have been your host, Elijah Ford, and I will see you in the next. Peace out.